Okay, so your product is live. People are using it. But, and this is a big but, do you really know what they're thinking? I mean, what they're actually thinking? That's the million-dollar question every creator faces, right? Well, today, we're going to crack that code. And let's be real for a second. Are you building what your users truly want, or are you kind of just guessing? Because without that direct line to your users, you're basically flying blind. It's a risky game to play. This slide just nails it, doesn't it? You've got two paths. On one side, you're building on assumptions, which is basically shaky ground. On the other, you're building on reality, what people actually say and do. That's a solid foundation. And getting from that shaky ground to that solid foundation, that's what this is all about. So, the big question is, how do we build that bridge? Well, that brings us right into our first big idea, really getting why user feedback is so important. It's the one thing that connects your vision to a product people will actually love and use. You know, when you think about user feedback, it's so easy to just think, oh, bug reports. But it is so much more than that. It's the raw, unfiltered truth that closes that gap between what you think people want and what they actually need. Honestly, this is where the magic happens. This is where real innovation is born. Think of feedback as giving you these three incredible superpowers. First up, it helps you zero in on the real struggles your users are having, their actual pain points. Second, it either confirms your brilliant ideas are on the right track or tells you, hey, maybe rethink this one. And third, and this is huge, it cuts through all the noise and helps you focus on what really, truly matters. A perfect example, Instagram stories. I mean, that feature didn't just pop up out of thin air. The team was paying attention. They noticed this trend. People were sharing these quick, in-the-moment little clips. And boom, they built a feature for that exact behavior. That is the power of listening, right there, in action. Okay, so we're all on board with why this stuff is critical, but how do you actually get it? What's the best way to collect it? That's where we're headed next. It's all about mastering the art of listening. The cool thing is you have a whole toolkit at your disposal. You've got surveys, which are awesome for getting quick, scalable numbers. Then there are user interviews where you can really sit down and dig into the why behind their actions. In-app feedback is great for catching those gut reactions in real time. And of course, analytics. They show you what people are actually doing, which can be totally different from what they say they're doing. But here's the catch. And trust me, this is a big one. It doesn't matter which of these tools you use if your questions are, well, bad. The quality of the feedback you get is 100% dependent on the quality of the questions you're asking. Garbage in, garbage out, right? Let me show you what I mean. If you ask someone, do you like our product? What are you going to get? A yes or a no. It's a dead end. But if you change that to, what's one thing you would improve about our product? Now we're talking. That opens the floodgates to real, specific ideas you can actually work with. It starts a real conversation. So let's say you've got a travel booking app. Asking, is our app easy to use, is just too vague. Instead, try asking, which part of the booking process felt a little confusing or difficult? See the difference? That helps people pinpoint the exact spot where they're getting stuck. And that is how you find the problems that are actually worth your time to solve. All right, so you've done it. You've opened the channels and the feedback is pouring in. Awesome. But now what do you do with it all? The next super important step is to turn that mountain of data into clear decisions. It's all about finding that signal in all the noise. And the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you just start bucketing things. Group the feedback into themes like bugs, feature requests, maybe even UI confusion. Then you start looking for patterns. Are 20 people all complaining about the same thing? That's your signal. That's the theme. And finally, you prioritize. You figure out what to act on based on what's going to have the biggest impact for the most users. And as you're digging through all of this data, a number like this might just leap off the page at you. 40%. What does a number like that tell you? It's not just a statistic. It's a giant flashing neon sign telling you, hey, look over here. This is important. And this is what that 40% might look like in the real world. A chart like this, wow, it makes the biggest problem impossible to miss. If 40% of your users are all saying the loading screen is slow, guess what your top priority is? It's suddenly crystal clear. The data just takes all the guesswork out of the equation. And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important step in this whole process, See, it's not enough to just listen and analyze all this great feedback. You have to actually do something with it. You've got to close the loop and turn those insights into real, tangible impact. So what does closing the loop really mean? Well, it means taking action. You prioritize what you're going to fix based on what has the biggest impact for users, but also what's actually realistic for your team to build. Then you tell people what you're doing. You communicate the updates to your team and, just as importantly, to your users. It shows them you're actually listening. And finally, you test your changes with things like A/B tests to make sure your solution actually solved the problem. When you boil it all down, it comes back to this incredibly simple but powerful cycle. Listen, act, improve. That's it. That's the engine that drives amazing products forward. You just repeat, repeat, repeat. Really mastering this process, especially now with AI changing everything, is a journey. For anyone who's ready to go even deeper on this stuff, from feedback loops to really advanced product strategy, resources like the AI Product Management Playbook can give you a super detailed roadmap. So if you're ready to connect with a whole network of leaders and get the absolute latest strategies in AI and product leadership, I'd really encourage you to check out the AI Product Management Playbook. You can subscribe right on LinkedIn and join a community of people who are really building the future. Which leads me to my final question for you. What's the one question you're going to ask your users today?